So that this is a continuation, and if we can join it, then you'll know that there was a separation there, and so I've got two videos, the previous one and this one. So I'm getting into, if there is an economic collapse, if there's no economic collapse, or there is an economic collapse, if there's no economic collapse, then they're going to have this huge debt. And I know I said this just a minute ago, but this is a new take, so forgive me for boring you. This economic collapse is going to shake the world up. Now, how it's going to come out of that, I don't think I could guess, but there's a possibility. There's another possibility that this is controlled. This is a controlled collapse, and this is the first wave. The pandemic is the first wave of attack on human condition. Certainly, it's being changed. There's no denying that the awesome changes, but the borders have gone up, and people are watching their travel. They're not traveling, so the whole tourist industry is going to be affected. And then it'll get to looking after your own. The people will have to come to looking after themselves, which is the way it should be. And so if we could, that's the transition. That's the change that I think that we should work towards, is what's the future look like? Now, if we're all divided, and this was an intentional division, then they've got us all under control by very forceful means. And there's this talk of 5Gs, that maybe there is no virus, and it's this 5G effect that is making people sick. I listened to David Icke, and I know he's got some really wild, far-out ideas, but he made a lot of sense. He presented a picture, you can see it on YouTube, questioning, denying that there was such a virus, or that the virus is in us already, and it was their means of testing, which they construed to be this pandemic that we've got. And when he analyzed some of the statistics that they're coming out with, they're labeling people who die in the hospital for whatever cause. If they tested positive for the virus, then they said tested positive for the virus cause of death. And they died for some other reason. So it made me question, well, maybe he's right. So if they've divided us, if that's the case, and this is some kind of overthrow by technology, and this chip is going to be planted in people's heads, apparently they're already starting to do that, then you're going to have your wireless transmitter, and it's going to be far easier to communicate when you don't need like an external device to make this happen. And so they can sell that idea, and people are doing it already. They're having implants put in their wrists, and they're technological wonders, what they can do. So the answer that I see, on a positive note, is that people are focusing on the gardens, and that's a really good thing. And how this pandemic works out, how the economic collapse comes about, I think that I'll try my best to be nice and deal openly and fairly with the condition that I have, that whatever it is, the condition I'm going through, I'll do my best. And I started this channel, Judgment Day News, and I put these on my Facebook. But I really want to do this Judgment Day News and tell the stories of people going through this crisis, this state of emergency, the whole global, and get their views on what's happening, and maybe tell a little bit about their ways they're getting through this. I know for me, it's certainly a shock to my system, to my habitual self. Like, can't go anywhere. Well, go. You can still go a few places, but old habits like are no longer sustainable. There's no restaurants. There's no bars. There's just this 6 foot distance. It's a scene, and this is just the first wave. So there's another. The economic wave is going to come next, and along with that is the environment. What's happening with global dimming, where because there's less pollution in the air, the Earth is going to get hotter because there's not as much cloud cover. And so this is going to cause crop failure, perhaps, ice caps melting, and we're facing that as well. So it's a huge amount of information that's out there. Big archives have been built up on almost every subject that you can think of. But what I'm focusing on, like, we're here, and what can we do here? Is there a do possible? Do what's necessary. I guess that's the best you could do. And why else would you want to? What else would you want to do anyway? Like, I mean, a lot of just wasting time, and that's okay too, because you really can't waste it. So this is David Shebib, and this is Judgment Day News in Victoria, and this is April the 14th. And I haven't. Well, we won't talk about my personal situation too much, but I got a lot of stressful conditions going on. Thank you.